Hello, this is Iced, and this is my submission of Dungeon Magic for SGDQ 2018. I previously ran this for SGDQ 2015, and since that run 3 years ago, there's been a lot of improvements to this, particularly with the first half of the game. So what you're going to see right off the bat is me snaking the candle off of this table here. But what this candle does is, while your character's holding it, it changes their supercharge attack into a different attack. With this character Gren, it's going to give him a flamethrower attack that's going to be very useful for the bosses in stage 1 here. Now, a lot of these heroic rooms are just navigating around enemies, baiting them to attack, and then just going by after they've done their business. Up here, you're going to see the first usage of magic to deal with some of these groups of enemies that might be a little more troublesome to deal with one-on-one. You have a limited amount of magic, but you can collect more at certain parts of the game. And this first room is going to showcase this game's infinite system. If you've ever seen infinites in the Streets of Rage series, it's the same principle. You start your attack combo, pause, and then that resets your combo when you start attacking again. That's going to be useful to deal with some of the more aggressive enemies throughout this run. And going through this room, I'm going to start queuing up my charge attack for the first boss here. This big old snake. And you'll see that flamethrower already going to work, doing a huge chunk of damage on him. The flamethrower can take this boss down in 2 hits. This boss is a little bit random in how the sites behave. Luckily, this was pretty much perfect behavior here. You want him to try to strike at you right out the bat. Sometimes he'll just slither around, mind his own business. And I did pack up a magic stock to use later in the run. This room showcases the infinite and how it can really save your hide throughout this run. These enemies have a random chance of counterattacking out of hit stun, but the infinite prevents them from ever being able to get a hit on us. And I'm just going to use a normal charge here to deal with these enemies in a bit of a safer manner. Alright, take out that pillar, and I'll do a flying elbow press there to take out that bat so he doesn't bite me in midair. And then with this room here, this lizard enemy, will soften him up first. And then we're going to get other guys to come near and then pop in their magic to take him out all at once. And with that, we go to the true boss of stage 1. And again, we're going to queue up that flamethrower charge attack. And was able to take out both his cohorts, which was pretty lucky there. And the reason the flamethrower is so effective with this boss is that normally when he's holding his sword, he gets a certain amount of armor hits, so you have to hit him a couple times for damage to start registering. With the flamethrower attack, it doesn't care about that armor. It still does all the hits, but it'll still do full damage. So just like the snake, we can take him out with 2 flamethrower blasts. And you'll see level ups a couple times this run, usually only at the end of stages. Your score in this game also counts as experience. Mainly that gets you a higher max health and decreases your supercharge attack, but it's not really a big factor during the course of this run here. Past stage 1, the candle is really not all that useful, except for one room coming up here after this altar room. And these lizards are kind of like the knights, where they're coded to counterattack, so we use the infinite to deal with them. One of the nice things while holding the candle is that you can't grab enemies, so we can just walk past that frog. We don't have to waste time throwing him out of our way here. Past this point, we don't need the candle anymore, so don't have to worry too much about that. This room right here is the beginning of the new route for stage 2, which is a huge improvement over stage 1. And this room here, just open up a couple of these coffins, take out these skeletons here. And I gotta talk to that guy to trigger the door to open, and I'll grab another magic for later out of that chest there. Another reason I showcase this run in particular is that it does show some of the RNG that can crop up. I was supposed to use magic to blast both of those dogs into the spike traps on the left, but one of them decided to jump prematurely, and, you know, be a bit of a troublemaker, so I had to deal with him in an alternate manner. And just jump up the stairs here. I don't want to touch these slimes, by the way. They are completely invincible, so I am going to try to get around them. That one, however, decided to take a swipe at me. Then bait that orc to attack that crate, group them up. And I'm going to grab this fire weapon from this other chest here. That's going to do double damage to the boss at the end of this stage and speed that fight up immensely. More flying elbows. And coming up here is usually the deadliest room in the game, and with this run, this was no exception here. These lizards can be very random in how they want to behave. Sometimes they'll be nice. In this particular run, not so much. So I am going to take a death there. Thankfully, it's not incredibly costly. And again, taking a death here is not a huge surprise. It's almost expected. But luckily, we'll just be able to deal the rest of them one by one, and move on to the stage 2 boss. Alright, take out that skeleton, smash a couple of these corpses just to kill some time. So, with this boss, she is coded to go down after so many hits. In this case, it's usually 8. So with that fire weapon, be able to do double damage. You don't have to go through as many knockdown phases. We use a spell here to take care of those baby spiders that burst out of her, otherwise they're going to cause a whole bunch of havoc. And then from here on, it's just knock her down, Bane jump off to his left side, and then hang her after she lands. Just rinse and repeat. One other thing you've probably seen with going through the rooms in this run is a lot of the triggers for opening doors are not entirely intuitive. You have to like kill certain enemies, destroy certain objects. That's kind of a running theme throughout a large part of this run. And you're going to see more of that as we go into stage 3 here, the longest stage of the game. So there's a couple entrances in this stage. We're going to go for the most direct one here. It's going to put us on the shortest route through the stage and also take us to another necessary weapon swap. And more magic here to deal with those slimes and then swapping out these orcs. Those orcs can randomly block your attack sometimes, but they played nice in this case. And then we're going to bait that skeleton to teleport, destroy this. And taking that punch is intentional. That's a lot less waste of time than getting hit by the lightning trap from that statue. And we'll swap our fire weapon for a holy weapon. This is going to allow us to do double damage to the final boss. Very, very useful. And this next couple of rooms is just all about using dashes and trying to just get from point A to point B as soon as possible. Using a dash attack there to destroy that statue a little more quickly. And we'll come up on the real objective of this stage here. There's 3 of these crystals that are like trapped in these pedestals that we have to just punch to free them. And I use a certain pattern here. I use a full combo and then a 3-string, another 3-string, and another full combo. That's the most efficient way of getting their HP down to 0. And we have elevators in this stage. And again, more of this non-specific destroy the right statues to proceed type of deal. And we'll grab another magic in this room. We have to destroy the statue and enemies to proceed, so it's pretty much a freebie. And we got a bit of a switch puzzle in here. Thankfully, it's nothing too complex. It's the same pattern every time you play, so not too hard to get down pat. Hit that switch there and get out of dodge before those skeletons decide to close the gate on us there. And these skeletons here, more often than not, they mind their own business, so not too worried about them. So with this room coming up here, there's 40 skeletons trapped in these caskets. I'm going to break these 3 and then deal with this particular group here. Mostly because the skeleton on the right likes to teleport around your attacks, so if I try to deal with him the same time as all the others, it gets to be too much of a hassle. So we'll just save him for last. And with this room, using more dashes just to get through here a little bit faster. And same deal here, just stay at the top, destroy that statue so we can get this wall to push back. Then do an interesting jumping pattern through here to get around this conveyor belt and around those skeletons that try to cut us off there. This next room is also one that can be very random in runs. Sometimes those red skeletons and that blue knight in particular, they can decide to get in your face, but luckily they stayed pretty benign. Had enough time to take out that third crystal there. And then we come up to this boss. Oh boy, this boss. This boss probably picked the wrong day to come to work, essentially. This boss, for some reason, is coded basically not to fall down. At least if you don't get too close to it, he won't get knocked down. So you can just keep doing the infinite over and over on him. Unsurprisingly, he's the easiest fight in the game. So yeah, enough said about that. Get some more spoils here, and the time tick down a little bit here, and we'll move on to the final stages of the game. This final stage is just a straightforward set of rooms. There's no real maze or exploration aspects. Just get past that one flamethrower there, and then use another magic to soften up a couple of these dogs here. And ideally these skeletons would group up on each other, but that other one decided to take the long way around. And we're gonna run to an old friend of ours. Yep, it's the Dark Knight from Stage 1 with a minor upgrade. So for this fight here, we're basically just gonna do a bunch of hitting and running here. The big thing is just to make sure to stay away from his other weapons. The beam that shield shoots, it's not very damaging, but it causes a lot of hit stun, so that's the part I want to avoid most of all here. Other than that, just basically kite him around, just wear him down, and this fight goes pretty smoothly. And then we'll go ahead and snag this shield here for the final boss coming up. And we'll need to break this coffin open the final gate, and also we'll take the magic from it, just be on the safe side. And then we'll just get up here and patiently wait as the final boss teleports in. He's a little on the grumpy side. So this fight is all about keeping this boss locked up here in this top corner as much as possible. And again, with this holy weapon I have, we're going to do double damage, so it's going to make this fight go a little more smoothly. This boss can be incredibly random, as you're about to see here. So, as you see there, he just blocked, which he can just do whenever he likes, and it goes into that invincible teleport. So, just to wait for him to move around before we can actually hit him again. And he'll try to pull out a couple extra tricks, but unfortunately it's still a little too late for him. There's another particularly nasty attack he can do. He can set himself on fire and try to thrust at you. Getting out of completely out of randomness. That's another big reason why you take the shield in that fight, just in case he decides to pull out his bag of tricks there. And with that, that is the conclusion of the run. This particular run came in at 13 minutes 47 seconds, according to SDA timing. And considering the fact that this run was around 16-17 minutes a couple years ago, I'd say that's a pretty significant improvement. I'm pretty proud with how far this run has come over time. And with that, we'll go to the closing credits, and I'll just say thank you all very much for watching.